It's Rick and Jackie this morning with our Lieutenant Governor John Husted. And the first time in our lifetime, we experienced a pandemic. And I think it would be good for our viewers if maybe you took us behind the scenes, what it was like for you and the governor on a daily basis dealing with the pandemic.
Well, it's really hard. There were different phases of it. The beginning phase of it was sort of like, wow, this can't really be happening. And seeing all the things that were going on in the world, in Italy with hospitals piling up and not enough place to put people, and just the uncertainty, complete uncertainty about what we were really dealing with. And that was the kind of the first phase. And then it was the response phase, of which none of us had ever had to go through. We didn't really know. We were listening to the medical professionals, but even among them, there were a lot of disagreements about what the right things were to do. And a lot of disagreements internally, but ultimately, we just tried to find our path to figure out the best way that we could avoid filling up our hospitals, save as many lives as we could, but also give people the freedom and the ability to live their lives and keep their businesses running and keep people in work.
Okay, for more with our Lieutenant Governor, go to our website, the overtime section, and you can hear more with Lieutenant Governor John Husted. Would you share with us personally what you felt as the burden of people's health and safety, and it was a life and death situation versus cutting ribbons at a factory and welcoming new jobs to Ohio?
Well, the role I kind of play is that the governor and the health officials talked about all the things that needed to be done for the health and safety, and I was kind of saying, well, maybe we don't need to do all those things. Maybe we could let kids play sports. Maybe we could do more of the things that would because as we learned, kids weren't affected the same way older adults were, or maybe were unhealthy. And so it was really just trying to explore and question and challenge and find our way through the process.
Well, every day you were on TV, right, with news conferences. It was a kind of a wine with the wine, I heard, was kind of a lot of people.
Well, we'd start at 6 a.m. in the morning reading the overnight information. And then at 8 o'clock, we'd start a conference call. We'd talk about all the things that were happening. And then around 11 o'clock, we'd stop and then prepare for our 2 o'clock news conference, in which we would update people on the latest news and then take questions from the media for an hour. And for a while, millions of people would tune in to that. But we just tried to share all the information we had. Anything that you needed, or anything that was out there, we were an open book, sharing all the information that we could.
As we look back 2 years later, where do you think we are, and what did we learn, and what might we do differently in the future?
Well, things that we need to do is we need to domesticate our supply chain. We can no longer rely on China and other people around the world to build make the pharmaceuticals or the other essential things that we need. That was a lesson. To also know that sometimes the medical consensus isn't right, that we have to ask a lot of tough questions and give people the facts and then trust them to decide for themselves what they should do.
Yeah. We're all big people, aren't we?
Yeah.
And we made that decision too ourselves. Lastly, issue 1 and issue 2 on the ballot here coming up in a few weeks. How do you feel about those?
Vote no. Vote no. On issue 1, that would enshrine into the Constitution late-term abortions, that when children are healthy and viable and can feel pain, it would allow for an abortionist to conduct abortions under those circumstances. And it would eliminate parental rights, where you wouldn't even necessarily know if your teenage daughter went to get an abortion. That would be enshrined in the Constitution. That's too radical for Ohio. You don't have to agree on what the policy should be to understand that issue 1 is what it shouldn't be. Vote no. And then on issue 2, we see the mess that this is in Michigan and Colorado and other places where they've legalized recreational marijuana. Nobody's getting arrested today for smoking marijuana, but we don't need it on every street corner. We don't need marijuana shops opening up next to your local coffee shop and really sending a message to our young people, hey, this is okay, you should go do it. That's not good for anyone.
Okay. We'd like to thank John Husted for joining us this morning here on A Firm Foundation for Life, Joyful Aging Messages with Rick and Jackie. John, it's great to see you again.
Great to be with you. Okay. Thanks.